Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to completely shatter that boring, static mental map of the planet you've had in your head since middle school geography. Today, we're looking at Earth's reality-shattering geography glitches. Forget the simple blue and green globes you're used to. Our planet is way weirder, way more extreme, and, honestly, far more deceptive than you could ever imagine. Let's get into it.
To start off, what if I told you there's a river that could literally cook you alive? I know, it sounds like science fiction, but deep in the Peruvian Amazon flows the Chennai Tempishka. And guys, this isn't just a warm spring. We're talking about a 4-mile stretch of rushing water that reaches up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That is right near the boiling point. Any animal unfortunate enough to fall in is instantly cooked alive. But here's the craziest part. The nearest volcano is 400 miles away. So where does the heat come from? It actually rises up from geothermal springs deep underground, which just goes to show that Earth's internal plumbing system is terrifyingly powerful.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 1, Defying Aquatic Logic, where we'll look at how Earth's waters completely break their own rules.
Get this. The 6th largest river in the world is entirely underwater. Right beneath the surface of the Black Sea, there's a massive, hidden current flowing. If you were to somehow pull this current up onto land, its sheer volume would make it the 6th largest river on the entire planet. It's even got its own underwater waterfalls, rapids, and riverbanks. Basically, this happens because incredibly dense, salty Mediterranean water flows rapidly right beneath the much less dense water of the Black Sea. It creates this completely separate, invisible aquatic world, just hiding right beneath the waves.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how wildly diverse these water anomalies can really be. First, take a look at Dominica's boiling lake. It's fueled directly by volcanic heat and literally bubbles at a lethal 197 degrees Fahrenheit. Then, if we jump over to the freezing extremes of Antarctica, you've got Blood Falls. Here, bright red, iron-rich water flows straight out of an oxygen-free underground lake that's been sealed away for millions of years. Against the white ice, it looks exactly like flowing blood. Finally, let's head to the Maldives, specifically Vadu Island, where bioluminescent phytoplankton turn the shores into this brilliant glowing blue starry night. It's amazing how extreme chemistry and temperatures can transform just ordinary water into these utterly alien landscapes.
But hey, what about gravity? We all know standard waterfalls flow downward, right? Well, not always. You're looking at an inverted waterfall. And no, this is absolutely not a camera trick. Over at Ireland's Cliffs of Moher in the Faroe Islands, storm winds coming off the ocean can whip up to well over 100 kilometers per hour. Those winds are so fiercely powerful that they literally catch the falling water and blow it backward, straight up into the sky. It violently defies gravity, turning a downward cascade into a rising mist.
Now that we've seen water completely break the rules, let's transition to Section 2, Hidden Lands and Extremes. We're going to explore how Earth's massive physical scale deceives the eye.
Case in point, Zealandia. This is an officially recognized 8th continent, and it is massive. We're talking twice the size of India. But you are never going to see it on a standard classroom globe, because 94% of this continent sank into the Pacific Ocean roughly 85 million years ago. Only the very highest mountain peaks of this drowned landmass remain visible above the waves today, and you probably know them as the countries of New Zealand and New Caledonia. It's wild to think an entire continent has just been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
Now, if a hidden continent blows your mind, follow me through this geographical Russian nesting doll over in the Philippines. Okay, stick with me here. You start on the massive Luzon Island. On that island, there's Taal Lake. Inside that lake, there is Taal Volcano Island. Inside that island's volcano, there is Crater Lake. And right smack in the middle of Crater Lake, there is Vulcan Point. So you've got an island within a lake, on an island within a lake, on an island. It sounds completely impossible, but it just proves nature has a wonderfully bizarre sense of structure.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer, unfathomable scale of human borders when you compare them to the cosmos. On one hand, you have Russia's surface area sitting at 17 million square kilometers. On the other hand, you have the entire dwarf planet of Pluto, which is just 16.6 million square kilometers. Think about that for a second. You could literally take the entire surface of Pluto, unroll it flat, and lay it down inside Russia, and it still wouldn't cover the whole country. Russia is so staggeringly massive that it spans 11 different time zones.
And speaking of borders and countries, that brings us right into Section 3, Bizarre Human Geography, where we look at how humans adapt to, or just get squished by, these extreme landscapes.
Consider this population paradox. On one side, you have the single U.S. state of California, which is home to roughly 39 million people. On the other side, you have the entire country of Canada, literally the second largest country on Earth by total landmass, and it has roughly 40 million people. So Canada's immense, sprawling, continent-spanning landmass holds virtually the exact same number of people as a single American state. It really puts into perspective just how intensely concentrated human populations are based entirely on climate and livable geography.
And hey, if you want to talk about extreme concentration, let's talk about the number 14. Almost all 200 residents of the remote town of Whittier, Alaska, live entirely inside one single 14-story former World War II military barracks. Inside this one vertical city, they've got their post office, grocery store, school, church, and medical clinic all under one roof. During those brutal, freezing Alaskan winters, residents can literally go for weeks without ever needing to step foot outside.
Now, compare that crowded 14-story building to the number 1. In Monoy, Nebraska, the total population is exactly 1 person. Her name is Elsie Eiler, and because she's the absolute sole resident, she acts as her own mayor. She runs the town's library, and she serves as the bartender at the only local business. She literally grants her own liquor license and holds solo town meetings. It is, for all intents and purposes, a fully working one-woman government. Now imagine trying to coordinate human life across an entire massive country instead of a tiny one-person town. China spans 3.7 million square miles. Geographically speaking, it stretches across 5 distinct time zones. Yet the entire country operates on one single official time, Beijing Standard Time. This creates a completely fascinating time zone impossibility. For the people living out in the far western regions of China, this means experiencing these surreal daily life patterns. For example, the sun doesn't even rise until hours after Beijing has already started their day, which deeply reshapes how they go about their daily routines.
Or how about adapting to this extreme? -60. That is -60 degrees Celsius. In Oymyakon, Russia, which is a small Siberian town, winters regularly hit this unimaginably brutal temperature. It's actually recognized as the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. It is so ridiculously frigid that car engines have to be left running constantly, otherwise they'll just freeze solid. And yes, it gets so cold that even strong vodka freezes here. Human survival in this town relies on intense, daily adaptation to an environment that is actively trying to shut down life.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our final category. Section 4, Earth's Unexplained Illusions, exploring landscapes that completely trick our very senses.
Take Death Valley's moving stones, for example. For decades, this was just a complete, unsolved mystery. People were finding hundreds of pounds of heavy rocks mysteriously gliding across the flat desert floor, leaving these perfectly straight trails behind them in the dirt. There were no footprints, absolutely no machinery pushing them. So what was the secret? Well, scientists finally figured out it's a highly rare combination of thin winter ice sheets melting in the sun paired with strong desert winds pushing that ice. The ice basically acts like a giant sail, slowly and imperceptibly gliding these massive stones right across the slick mud.
And how about a landscape that entirely tricks your eyes? At Magnetic Hill up in New Brunswick, Canada, you face this mind-bending optical illusion. If you stop your car and put it in neutral, it feels and looks exactly like you were rolling backward uphill directly against the pull of gravity. But here's the trick. What your brain is perceiving as an uphill climb is actually just a downhill slope. It is perfectly disguised by the angle of the surrounding horizon and the tree lines. You aren't fighting gravity at all. Your eyes are just straight up lying to you.
And then there's the ultimate illusion, affectionately known as the world's largest mirror. Down in Bolivia, the Salar de Uyuni is this massive, expansive salt flat. During the rainy season, a very thin, perfectly still layer of water covers the flat salt surface. The result? A flawless, mirror-like reflection of the sky above that completely erases the horizon line. You literally can't tell where the sky ends and the ground begins. It is so impeccably flat and reflective that aerospace engineers and satellites actually use it from space to calibrate their distance measurements. I mean, how cool is that?
So the crucial point is, we live on a planet that absolutely refuses to be boring. From underwater rivers and boiling jungles to single-building towns and an entire 8th continent swallowed by the sea, Earth's geography is dynamic, extreme, and endlessly mysterious. And really, it leaves us with one final fascinating thought. If an entire continent twice the size of India can hide under the ocean for 85 million years without us fully realizing it, what else is out there just waiting to be discovered? Keep questioning the world around you, keep looking closely, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.